Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, we will cover Lesson 3 of Straight Path Academy Arabic Volume 1, Reading Arabic Letters. So Lessons 1 and 2 mainly focused on the harakat. It focused on the vowel symbols written above or beneath a letter. So now we're going to focus mainly on learning the Arabic letters. In this lesson, we learn 3 letters. Those letters are the letter ba, the letter ta, and the letter tha. Now we covered the letter ba in lesson 1. However, we're going to take it a step further in this lesson because Arabic is written in cursive. Therefore, a letter may look slightly different depending on whether or not it is attached to another letter. There are 4 possible ways a letter may be written in Arabic. Number 1 is alone. So for example, in red we see the letter ba. This is how it looks when it's written by itself. However, sometimes the letter ba may be the beginning of a connection. Now remember, Arabic is written from right to left. So on the right, we see the beginning of this collection of letters. And what we see in red is how the letter ba looks when it begins a connection. So for example, if the letter ba begins a word and connects to the letter after it, it will look like this ba in red. Now of course, it doesn't look too different from how the ba is written alone. It still has that dot underneath. However, that U shape connects to the letter after it. So it looks slightly different. The third way a letter may be written is if it is in the middle of a connection. So in this example, we see in red the letter ba as it appears connecting to a letter before it and a letter after it. So again, it has that distinct feature of a dot underneath. However, that U shape is looking a bit different because of the fact it is connecting to other letters. So this is how the letter ba looks in the middle of a connection. And then fourthly, we have a letter coming at the end of a connection. Again, Arabic is written from right to left. So here on the far left, we see in red how the letter ba looks when it is at the end of a connection. It's connected to the letter before it, but it is not connected to anything after it. And this also looks very similar to how the ba's look when it's written alone. However, it does slightly vary with that connection to the letter before it. So this being the case, every time you learn a letter, you need to not only be able to identify it when it is written alone, but you also need to memorize how it may look at the beginning, middle, or end of a connection. Because as we said, Arabic uses a cursive script in that the letters connect. So the following chart shows 3 letters written each way. Remember, Arabic is written from right to left. So first we have the letter ba. This is how it is written alone. And as we learned already, it sounds similar to the English B. For example, the name Bilal begins with the letter ba. So remember, we said there are 4 possible ways a letter may be written. Alone is one of the ways, but here are the other 3 ways. When it is in the beginning, the middle, or end of a connection. And here we rotate the colors so you can clearly see where a connection begins and ends. So from right to left, first we see in black how the letter ba looks when it begins a connection. Then in red, we see how it looks when it is in the middle of a connection. And then again in black, we see how it looks at the end of a connection. And throughout the rest of the book, we use charts like this, showing the possible ways that a letter may look. We show how it looks alone. We show how it looks in the beginning, middle, and end of a connection. We give you a comparison in English to how the letter sounds. And then we give you an example of a word in Arabic that uses the letter. So the first letter is the letter ba. The second letter is the letter ta. And this is how the letter ta looks when it's written alone. Now the letter ta, it sounds similar to the English T, such as the word Torah, the book that was given to Prophet Musa alayhi salam. The word Torah begins with the letter ta. This is how it looks alone, and this is how it looks when it is written in the beginning, middle, and end of a connection. Now the letter ta looks just like the letter ba, except the letter ba has 1 dot beneath it, whereas the letter ta has 2 dots above it. But everything else looks the same. What distinguishes the ta from the ba is the placement of these dots. So 2 dots written above that U-like shape signifies the letter ta, which sounds similar to the English T. And the third letter we're going to learn in this lesson is the letter tha, which looks like this. The letter tha sounds like the English combination of T and H, that th sound. An Arabic word that has the letter tha is the word hadith. The word hadith ends with the letter tha. And the letter tha looks just like the ta and ba, except it has 3 dots above it. This is how it's written alone, And this is how it is written when it is in the beginning, middle, or end of a connection. So the main thing to focus on when it comes to the letters ba, ta, and tha is the placement of the dots alongside the sounds that they represent. And in order to help us memorize this information, we can go to the exercise. Exercise 3. Practice pronouncing the letters and harakat. Write down the correct pronunciation beneath each example. Remember, Arabic is written from right to left, but the English transliteration is written from left to right. So this is just like the previous exercises. We have the first row completed for you, and you're gonna go step by step just like the previous lessons. However, now instead of just one letter, we have 3 letters connecting to one another. So let's go to number 5 and begin completing this together. What's the first step that we do in these exercises? Step number 1, when it comes to reading, is we identify the letter. Now remember, Arabic is written from right to left, so we are going to begin on the right. Step number 1 is identifying this letter. This is, of course, the letter ba. We can tell because there is 1 dot beneath. So what English letter are we going to write for the letter ba? We're going to write B. And while the Arabic is right to left, we're going to write the English left to right. We're going to maintain the direction for each language. So after we've identified the ba, what's the next step? The next step is identifying the haraka. So what haraka is this above the letter ba? This is a loop shape representing the dhamma. So what English letter are we going to write for the dhamma? We're going to write the letter U. So this first combination of the letter and haraka, it's the letter ba and the dhamma, it's going to sound like boo. Hence we wrote boo. But then we want to go to the next letter, because no matter how long a word is, no matter how many letters are connected, we're always going to maintain that same sequence. We're going to look at the letter and then the haraka. The letter, the haraka. The letter, the haraka. So now that we identified the first letter and haraka, now we're going to go to the second letter. What letter is this? Which letter has 1 dot beneath? That is the letter ba. So we're going to write a B for the letter ba. What's the next step? We're going to look at the haraka. As we see, the haraka is 1 line written beneath. E, beneath. So this is the kasra, which represents the E sound. For the kasra, we write the letter I. So for this combination of the first 2 letters and their harakas, we see boo, B, boo, B, ba, dhamma, boo, ba, kasra, B, boo, B. So what do we do next? We look at the next letter, which is the letter ba. So we write a B for the letter ba. Then we look at the haraka, which is a dhamma, a loop shape. That sounds like oo. So we write a U for the dhamma. And now that we finished sounding out this combination of letters and harakat, we read it from right to left. It is boo, be, boo. Hence we wrote in English, boo, be, boo. And this is the method that we use in this series to practice memorizing these letters and symbols and the sounds they represent. If you consistently go through the exercises, inshallah, there is no doubt you will learn how to read. So let's go to the next page and try one more example together. It gets more and more challenging as you go through the exercises. However, if you go through them in order, you'll be prepared. And inshallah, you'll want to be challenged a bit more because it'll get repetitive. So let's go to number 44. Step number 1, we identify the letter. Which letter has 3 dots above it? That is the letter tha, which sounds similar to the English TH. So we write TH for the letter tha. Next, we look at the haraka. There is a haraka beneath the letter tha. A line that is written beneath a letter is called a kasra, and it represents the sound E, which we use the letter I in English to represent. So this first letter and haraka come together to form the sound thi. Hence we wrote thi. If we go to the next letter, which is written in red, then we find 2 dots above. Which letter has 2 dots written above? That is the letter ta, which sounds like the English T. So we're going to write a T for the letter ta. Next, we look at the haraka. We have a line written above the ta. This symbol is called a fetha and sounds like the English A. So this ta and fetha together sound like ta. So far with the first letter in haraka and then second letter in haraka, we have theta, theta. If we go to the third, we need to first identify the letter. Which letter has one dot beneath? That is the letter ba. So we're going to write the letter B for the letter ba. Next, we want to identify the haraka. The haraka is a loop written above the ba. Of course, the loop shape represents a dhamma, which sounds like the English U. So the ba and dhamma make the sound bu. So the first three letters we have thi, ta, bu. Thi, ta, bu. And then finally at the end, we need to identify the letter. Which letter has two dots above? That is the letter ta. So we're going to write a T for the letter ta. And then we're going to identify this haraka, which is a loop, the dhamma, which is represented by the English U, U. So now finally, if we read this whole combination of letters and harakat together, it is thi, ta, bu, tu. Thi, ta, bu, tu. So inshallah, by going through and completing this exercise, you will solidify in your memory the letters ba, ta, and tha. You'll get used to the different ways that they are written, depending on whether they are in the beginning, middle, or end of a connection. And you will also continue to practice identifying the harakat. And then throughout this course, we're just going to continue adding letters, adding symbols, and practicing memorizing them better and better through these exercises. Allah knows best. Thank you for watching. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.